Yeah, very good morning to all of you. At the outset, I must thank the organizer for inviting me to give a presentation on this sensor technology program for faculty. So I am really very much grateful to them. And thank you also for your kind introduction. You have given an extensive introduction about me. I am not of like that. Anyway, so today basically I will give you some idea about the use of this gas sensor, particularly nanostructure based gas sensor for monitoring our health. Audience, you are audible? Audience, I am audible to everybody?
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
slides is visible, na?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. So I will continue now. So hope everybody is doing very well in this tough time of this COVID-19. Particularly, I'm not sure about the participants from. I think there are participants maybe from throughout India, but those who lives in metro cities like me, I am in real Calcutta. So life is really very tough here, and we need to go to office every day. But it is very difficult when, and every time we remain panic whenever we go out from my home, because here situation is very tough, and day by day the number is increasing, affected person number increasing in our city. Anyway, we have to live in this situation. So we are carrying out everything by maintaining this proper safety rules and norms. I again wish all of you good health during this tough situation. Now let me start my presentation. Sorry for little delay. Actually, I was informed that it will be start from 10:30. Anyway, so thing is managed. So today I will basically give you some idea about this how this nanostructure, semiconductor nanostructure based gas sensor is used for health monitoring. So as this is a FDP program on faculty development, FDP program for faculty development program on sensor technology. So and I think this is your fourth day. So I think you have already listened to many experts in this area, and you have gathered some information about the sensors of various kind of sensors. I am not sure whether somebody has enlightened you with this health monitoring plan. I think this is little bit new in gas sensing application side, though the concept is very old. But anyway, as most of the people, those who are working in sensor area, they don't touch this one because of lot of challenges, which I will show you during my presentation. Very few people, maybe our group and another 2-3 groups from India is working particularly in this area. And throughout the globe also, few groups is working on this area, and this area is very much challenging, but at the same time very much interesting. And if we become successful, then it will be really a very good achievement, which can contribute a lot towards the society. So let me give you an overview of, in general, all the sensors type of thing. You know that sensor is really omnipresent. It is everywhere, and also sensor is there in our body also. Mother Nature has gifted us 5 sense organ, as you know. So starting from our skin, nose, this tongue, ear, and eyes, all these are sense organ given by Mother Nature, and smell is bad or good. Similarly, by touching something which is our skin, which is also one sense organ, if we touch something, if the body is hot, our through our nervous system, brain will give you the information that yes, it is hot body, don't touch it. So this kind of sense organs are there in our body. There are 5 sense organs. So and all of you are aware of these things. But the sensor which I am going to talking in presence of you, these are artificially made sensor in laboratory and in industry. So that we call 6th sense, because 5 sense is gifted by Mother Nature. So that we call 6th sense. So let me introduce what is sensor. it is nothing but a very small device which basically detects some quantities uh, from the environment or from any chemical or physical system and gives some output either in the mainly in the form of electrical or optical signal. So that is sensor. It is basically a very small device, but the sensor device or gadget which we see in the market, that is based on sensor technology. So your topic is sensor technology, and sensor technology is nothing but the technology which use this sensor to detect anything by this kind of some kind of fabricated device or machine. So that is sensor technology, and this sensor is called sixth sense, as I mentioned you earlier. So that is very brief about sensor and sensor technology. Now I will give you very quickly, I will go through the very common sensors because sensors is really omnipresent, and nowadays without sensor we cannot imagine our life, and it is very difficult to live without this sensor. So I will quickly give you some very common example which we use in our day-to-day life, which are to some extent they are some our household things also, but they are basically based on sensor, and they are prepared using sensor technology, and they are real sensor gadget. So before that example, I must say that there are various kind of sensor. Uh, it can be divided in many groups depending upon in which way it can be either for example it can be used. It can be divided in terms of what kind of internal inputs are there on that also. Like here I have subdivided it is mechanical sensor, thermal sensor, electrical sensor, magnetic sensor, radiant sensor, chemical sensor. All these varieties are categorized on the basis of input. For example, for thermal sensor, it will be temperature, heat like things. For electrical sensor, it could be voltage, current, charge, resistance like thing. For magnetic sensor, it will be magnetic field or flux density, permeability like thing. So these are the type of sensor, and all of us are little bit aware of these things because we use in our day-to-day life this kind of sensor. So without sensor, it is very difficult also. Now, very quickly regarding the application area of sensor, as I told, it is omnipresent. So it is there in every sector of life, starting from our strategic sector, our military forces, and our the security forces. They use this. It is there in toxicology section. It is there in environmental section. It is there in space research. It is there in medical science. It is there in agricultural and food processing industries. So its presence is everywhere. Its presence is everywhere, and I will show you some example also so that you can understand that yes, sensor is really omnipresent. So this is my first slide regarding the application use of sensor. These are nothing but remotes, AC remote and TV remote, as you can understand. So they basically use this sensor technology, and it works basically on IR based on IR technology or IR range of electromagnetic wave. What exactly what is the exact mechanism? Basically, whenever you press the switch on button of your remote, so some signal will go to the TV receiver through this IR light, and that signal will be received by TV receiver, and TV will be switched on. And while you will surfing through the channels, that also systematically go through the TV receiver from your remote, and surfing will be made. So that is the mechanism, and this is used by everybody nowadays. And some other kind of sensor, different kind of sensor is installed in your smartphone. Nowadays, if we talk about the smartphone, this smartphone contains at least 14 sensor, if not more. And this new version of iPhone and other this higher version of Samsung gadgets, they contains more than 20 sensors, starting from accelerometer, gyroscope, magnetometer, light sensor, touch screen sensor, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. All are sensor based on sensor technology, GPS. So all these systems are there in your smartphone only. That's why I said that it is omnipresent, and all of us use these sensors, and we are very much benefited by this kind of sensors. So this is one common example. So I am giving a little details about one sensor of this mobile. At the top notch, there is in every smartphone there is a small hole which we call the proximity sensor. What does it really do? Whenever you are receiving your phone or you are talking to somebody and you are holding your phone very close to your ear, you will notice that your screen is not glowing. So screen is switched off automatically. And if you little bit take away the mobile from your ear, you will find that your screen is again glowing. So this off on process is done by this proximity sensor. It is called proximity sensor because when your gadget is very close to some object, here this object is our ear, so then it will start functioning. And if it is away, then it will not function. So this is one another common example of sensor. Also, there are some other example like this one. These are called touch screen sensors. So it will scan. It will optical based. It will scan your fingerprint, and then everything will be on by if it is matched with your this stored fingerprint data. So this is also another kind of use. And in nowadays in car also we use lot of sensor. If it is a high end car, then it contains more than 100 sensors, various kind of sensors. But whatever may be the value of the car, some sensors are nowadays there, like your when you park this your car in your parking place, so there is a rear sensor which generally give you indication that whether any object is there very close to your back of your car. Actually, how this does it work? It is also based on this IR technology. IR ray is used here, so it is also one kind of proximity sensor. If while backing your car, if it is very close to some obstacle, so it will give you some kind of signal using this sensor, proximity sensor, and so you will be alerted and you will stop backing your car. So this is another example. Yes, this is another one interesting example. These are called motion sensor. So you have seen, I think, in nowadays in every smart building, airport, hotel, everywhere, shopping mall, everywhere, we use this kind of door, which are based on this smart dynamic sensor. So there is no requirement of any security personnel to open the door and close the door. So door will be open and closed automatically with the help of this dynamic sensor. Basically, this dynamic motion sensor notice the motion of a person and accordingly it operates. So this is also very common example. Yes, this is another example which nowadays used in every smart building, hotel, offices, everywhere. These are called vacancy. You can call it vacancy sensor or occupancy sensor. If somebody is there inside, then light and other gadget will be on and it will be adjusted accordingly. But if nobody is there, then it will be automatically switched off. You don't need to remember that I am going out from the home, so I have to switch off all the gadgets. That is not required. It will be automatically cut off whenever there will be no person inside it. So this can you can say it as an occupancy sensor or as a vacancy sensor. It is either way, it's same thing. So these yeah, this is another very interesting. Nowadays it is the most important gadgets which is used by every household. I think everybody use. So this is this IR thermometer and pulse oximeter. They are also basically kind of sensor gadget. This IR thermometer use some again IR light, and pulse oximeter use IR as well as some red light. So by using that light, it gets signal from your body, and accordingly, it can give you your temperature. It can give you your heartbeat rate and also oxygen saturation, oxygen level in your blood. So everything can be monitored or noticed using again some kind of sensor. So these are the very common use of various kind of optical, electrical gas sensors, which I have already shown. and I am talk about. So I think all these gadgets you have seen everywhere. So these are the thing. But now today I am as more interested on gas sensors. So now I will go little bit more about gas sensors. So everything is okay up to now. Professor Kumar, Ashok Kumar, audio video is okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, it's
Yeah, okay. So now I am moving to my theme. Up to now it was overall sensor. So now I am going to this gas sensor part, which is our main bread and butter in this laboratory. So we used to use lot of materials, particularly nanomaterials, to prepare gas sensors. And why nanomaterial is required, that also I will highlight. And after preparing, we characterize them, and then we measure this gas sensing property, and accordingly decide for what kind of application it can be used. So let me introduce about the gas sensor. Actually, it is again one sensor. Gas sensors are generally either resistive or conductive type, and so it detects some kind of change of your resistance or conductance, whatever you may say, in presence of some analytes, gases, and accordingly it works. It has also wide application in different fields, like starting from our domestic application, industrial application, to monitor environment pollution, to monitor the food quality, and also the most important one, the lowest one, which is advanced biomedical application. I will give some of the example of these gas sensors for different kind of applications in different fields, but I will go in details for this advanced biomedical application, which is, I think, rather new. Maybe till now nobody has introduced these things, this area to you. So I will give more idea about this one, so that at the end of my lecture, you can at least uh, be satisfied that yes, I am introduced some new thing which is very common, and some little bit knowledge about these things should be there for everybody, so that they can be cautious about all those things. Okay, so let me go through it. So little bit history about the gas sensor. What was the primitive concept of the gas sensor? Actually, in earlier days, when the miner people go to the mines, they used to use a pair of canary bird. You see these birds, they are very colorful, and they are very small in size. You can Google it, you'll find a little idea about this canary bird. And the specialty about this bird is that they are not only looks beautiful, they can sing well and they can sing continuously. So that is their specialty. What that miners use, why they are used while they go inside the mines, because these birds used to sing all the time, as I told you. So they took two canary birds in cage, and they goes to the inside this mine with this cage with two birds. And while working inside the mine, they used to notice the condition of this bird. And if they find that they feel unconscious, then from that they can get idea that the environment inside the mind is not good for health. That's why they are feeling unconscious and they have stopped singing. So then the miners will came out from the mines. So that was the very primitive concept of the gas sensing. Actually, what happens if the environment inside the mines is not good, if it is toxic, then these they are, as I said, they are very small, but their system is also very small, so they cannot survive that environment for a long time. So they will feel uncomfortable, and that will be if the miners notice that, they will came out from that mines, because they could understand that this environment is not good for health. And now one may ask one question, that why they used to take two birds. The answer is, if they go with one bird, and that if they notice that the bird is not feeling comfortable, it could happen that the physiological condition of this bird is not good. That's why it is feeling uncomfortable, and it's not because of the environment. But while going with two birds, and both of them feel uncomfortable, it is most probable that this environment is not good, and it is less probable that both of them are physiologically unfit. That's why they used to took two birds into the in the cage, and they go to the mines with these two birds. So that was the very primitive concept. And little bit later, miners used this lamp. This is called Davis lamp. And what they used to do, they basically, before going to this inside the mine, they fire this lamp, they burn the flame of this filament of the lamp, and they fix the height of the flame in a particular height. And after fixing that in a particular height, they took this lamp inside the mines, and they used to notice the flame height. If the flame becomes more higher, that means that there are methane gases. That's why this flame becomes higher. And if the flame height becomes very low, that indicates that there is very less oxygen. So from that also, miners can get the idea that this environment is good or not. So that is also another concept of using gas sensors. These are the very primitive concepts. Nowadays, nobody used all these concepts. Now there are gas sensors which are electrochemical based, I must say, because the principle based on them is electrical, and the material is prepared by chemicals route, and also they use some kind of circuit from which that change of resistance is measured. So nowadays, and they are also very small gadget, maybe of millimeter dimension. So now I will introduce that one. So this is the this is LPG gas sensor, which is one of the modern gas detector used in our smart kitchen. And basically, if there is some leakage from your stove, burner, or from the cylinder itself, so that will be detected by this LPG gas sensor. It is again used one gas sensor which can detect the LPG, not the other gases. So here selectivity is one important question. I will give you some idea about this selectivity also. So this is one important modern application of gas sensor. This is another application of gas sensor, which we call indoor air quality monitoring device. Nowadays, all the smart office and smart building, even hotels room, you will find this kind of indoor air quality monitor sensor. What they do basically, they measure the presence of some harmful chemicals which may came from the paints or some lubricant which is used in your furnitures and other. And if you stay there for a long time, so that will not be good for health. So it measures their concentration. So our body can resist up to certain level of different gases, and if the concentration is much higher, then it will be difficult for sustain. So that concentration, measurement of that concentration is also required. That's why people nowadays use this indoor air quality monitoring device, which is also a kind of gas sensor. This is another ethylene sensor, ethylene gas sensor, you can say. It is used by this food industry, this agricultural sector. What they do, you must have noticed that while particularly for banana, while it is harvested from the field, directly field, they are not fully ripened. They remain green. They are mature, but they remain green. Because if it is fully ripened, then it will be difficult to transport all these bananas from directly field to the market. That's why they take these bananas little greener stage, I must say, and they transported these bananas to the cities from the field. And in city, these vendors, they use some kind of warehouse where it is stored, and in that warehouse, people inside that warehouse, they control the atmosphere using ethylene, and using some acid ethylene concentration, they try to ripen all those bananas, and banana will become slowly yellow, and while it will start becoming yellow, it will be transported to the local vendors. So concentration of ethylene is a factor. If it is a little higher, then the bananas will be ripened within few hours, so it will be difficult to transport again. And if it is very less, so it will take maybe days after days to ripen. So you have to control that concentration, and this is the device which measure the concentration of ethylene. So using this kind of device, you can control the concentration of ethylene gases inside the warehouse, and accordingly you can ripen your fruits as per your desire, and accordingly you can transport to the local vendor. So this is another interesting example of this gas sensor. Now this is one example of using of multiple gas sensor. This is called a robotic fish. This is very interesting. This has been made by a group of UK scientists. They made this robotic fish because they want to monitor the environment of underwater seas, just to check what kind of environment is there and whether that is good for aquatic life or marine life or not. That's why they make a fish like this, which contains various kind of gas sensors, different gas sensors, and it is completely remotely operated from the lab. Only they can operate this fish, and they can collect the data through this Wi-Fi concept, and they can analyze the environment inside the in deep sea water, and they can understand whether that environment is good for aquatic life or not. So this is another modern example of this gas sensors. So that up to now I have given some example of gas sensors used in various areas. Now little bit of more details about the gas sensors. So for any sensor, particularly gas sensor, while you are developing the material and from that you are preparing the gas sensor, you have to be very much careful for many parameters which I have mentioned in this diagram. So there are altogether more than 8-10 parameters, which all of them are important. In particular, three parameters I have mentioned in a red circle. You can clearly see that sensitivity, selectivity, and stability. Sometimes we call them 3S because they are sensitivity, selectivity, and stability. So these three factors are most important to while making a good sensor. Let me little bit elaborate on these three parameters. So this graph give you the idea about the these 3S parameter. So let me first give you the idea what is sensitivity. Sensitivity is nothing but the ratio of resistance. If it is resistive sensor, ratio of resistance, it is resistance in air divided by resistance in gas. And if you want to convert it into percentage response or percentage sensitivity, then you have to multiply by 100. So it is nothing but change of resistance basically. So device basically measures the change of resistance of your sensing material in presence of this gas. So you look at the top left graph, which shows the
Sir, PPT not visible. Sir, PPT not visible.
PPT is not visible?
Oh, sir.
Oh, is it? So from which slide? Which was your last slide? I have to maybe again share it. Can you tell me what was your
Sir,
last slide?
UK builds robot
Okay,
fish.
okay. Maybe some network problem is there. Okay, let me stop the sharing again. Start a new sharing. Okay. So now it is visible. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So I can little go back as you have mentioned. Yeah. So if it is now full screen and visible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Yes, sir. Visible.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Yeah. So this is the robotic fish which has been made by a group of UK scientists to monitor the aquatic environment under deep sea water, just to check whether that environment is good for this marine life or not. Now, little bit about the sensor, because if you want to fabricate sensor in laboratory, or the industry wants to develop material for sensor, then they have to be very much careful about some parameters which are mentioned in this diagram. There are excuse me, there are around 10 parameters which are very important while you are developing some good sensing material and some good sensor based on that material. In particular, I have made three red circle for sensitivity, selectivity, and stability. These three call basically 3As. These are the most three important parameter while you developing a good sensor or while you are developing your material for sensor. So let me little elaborate about the three A's: sensitivity, selectivity, and stability. So before that, what is sensitivity? It is nothing but basically, if it is resistive sensor, then it is nothing but the change of resistance in presence of gas. So we measure it like RA by RG or RG by RA, depending upon whether it is P type or N type or P type. So RA means resistance in presence of air, and RG means resistance in presence of your gas, which you want to detect. And it will be the change in resistance divided by original resistance also. And if you want to percentage, then you have to multiply with 100. It is very simple. So now about the 3A's. First, top left hand side graph is y-axis is sensitivity and x-axis is gases. So we have checked for different gases. This is for H2S sensor. You see only for H2S it is the sensitivity is very high, and for other, for low concentration H2S this is less, and also for other gases like hydrogen, like ammonia, alcohol, this is almost negligible. That means this sensor is very much selective for the H2S gas only. So this is called selectivity. Means if your sensor is very much selective for a particular gas, so in presence of other gas also, your sensor will just detect that gas and ignore other gases. That property is very much important. While I will discuss about the breath sensor, I will talk about all those these things again. So the top right hand side graph is stability graph. Y-axis is again the sensor response or sensitivity, and x-axis is number of days. So what I have shown here for one of our sensor, we have measured for 60 days, and we find that the response is remains almost stable. That's why it is stability graph. That means you can use this sensor in device, and resistance will or response will remain almost same for quite a long time. And uh, bottom right hand side graph, which is again y-axis is sensitivity or response, and x-axis is concentration of gases, same gas with different concentration. So this graph clearly indicates that with the increase of concentration, the sensitivity increases, and after some time it may saturate also. So these are the 3A's. Now I was talking because as you go through my title of this talk, it is nanostructure based semiconductor. Why I have used this? Because you know that nowadays everybody is talking about nano. It is the buzzword now. It is the talk of the town now. But yes, nano has lot of things. I'm not going into details because I'm not giving you the lecture on nano. I am giving you the lecture on gas sensor. But what is important for gas sensors, it has been noticed that if you go to the nanometer dimension for same material, sensitivity will increase enormously. So this figure shows that one. Y-axis is again sensitivity, x-axis is crystallized size or particle size. So while going from right hand side, maybe from right hand side one size is around 28 nanometer. So from that, if you go to around 5 nanometer or less, you see that sensitivity has increases enormously. For same material, if you change the particle size, sensitivity will increase, and for nanoparticles, it will be much higher. Because just briefly, sensing is gas sensing is basically a surface phenomena, and I guess that all of you know that for nanomaterials, the surface to volume ratio increases enormously, and that is basically giving you this enhanced sensitivity. Okay, so nano is important for gas sensing also. Now, more precisely about the breath sensor, which I am supposed to talk before you. So another half an hour or so, I will talk about on this breath sensor, which is little concept is very old, I must say, but this is maybe little bit new for many of you. What is this? Basically, breath sensor or breath analyzer, what it does, it basically analyze your exhale breath. I am talking about your exhale breath. All of us has read in our class, school life, that we inhale mainly oxygen and we exhale mainly carbon dioxide. So as a school student, that is fine, but while we are growing, we are learning more. You should know that in our Excel breath there are various kind of gases, and it is called VOCs, volatile organic compound. At least there it contains more than 1,000 volatile organic compounds. So, but the concentration of them is very, very low. Only for few gases or VOCs it is 1 2 ppm like, and some of them it is ppb, and most of them is ppt, parts per trillion, parts per billion, parts per million. Okay, so concentration is very, very low. So what is the concept of this breath analyzer? Concept is that for breath analyzer, that there are some established biomarker from these VOCs, like our this Excel breath. It contains, as I told, lot of gases and these VOCs. Some of gas and VOCs are responsible for some diseases inside our body. What I mean to say, that will be there in your Excel breath, but their concentration will be elevated if you have some disease. And this paper cartoon, it shows that सांस के नमूने से रोग की पहचान, it was published a few years back. It says that yes, if we judge your Excel breath, it is possible to detect at least some of the diseases which are there in your body. How do we do that? What is the basic concept? This is, as I told you, this is very, very old concept. In fact, Greek medical practitioner in prehistoric days, they used to use that concept. Actually, while treating patient, they try to smell the Excel breath of the patient, and from that, if they get some sweety smell, they can understand that the person is suffering from diabetes type of disease. And if the smell is bad breath, then they can understand then maybe some kind of kidney or renal type of disease are there inside this human being. So that was very primitive concept, and it is a very concept was very old also. But new thing is that with the development of lot of sophisticated devices and also nanomaterials, now we can calculate the concentration of each and every gases which are there, gases and VOCs which are there in our Excel breath, and from that we can understand that yes, that person may suffering from some diseases. So it is kind of process of elimination or process of monitoring or early detection of any disease. So how we do that? So this table shows you here left hand side I have mentioned some gases and VOCs, and right hand side that disease name. So these gases are responsible for these diseases. We call them as biomarker, like this acetone, which I have just mentioned. It is biomarker for diabetes. It is already established. Like ammonia, it is biomarker for kidney or renal type of diseases. Like this some kind of alkane, some alkane group, they are responsible for lung cancer. Like this carbon dioxide, they are responsible for some kind of asthma related disease. So these are, I mentioned that there are more than 1,000 VOCs and gases, but few of them are biomarkers. This is the list of the biomarker. So our sole target is to detect some of the gases so that we can understand whether from your Excel breath, and we can understand that whether you are a healthy person or you have some disease. So we are working on these areas. Let me tell you one thing, that it's not that you have to only depend on the gas sensor to detect this kind of VOCs from your Excel breath. There are many sophisticated instruments based on spectroscopy or based on some other concept, which can give you the idea of what are the gases or VOCs there in your Excel breath and what are their concentration. But the thing, I have mentioned the device names also, but the thing is, most of the devices are very, very costly, and their prices are above crores. Also, they need a skilled operator to operate them. Also, they needs to be installed in some clinical lab, not in everybody's home. It cannot be a household good. Also, they are very difficult to handle. So these are the things, and you cannot monitor your excel breath day to day using those things. So the alternative is, if we can develop some gas sensor, and using that gadget, if we can measure the concentration of the gases, from that also we can understand some of the, we can detect or we can monitor the health condition from the excel breath analysis. So if that gas sensor can be developed, it will be a very handheld type of device which can be maintained by every household, like this pulse oximeter, like this IR thermometer, like this automatic blood pressure monitor device, like this. Okay, so we are trying for that only, but there are a lot of challenges, lot of problems. But let me introduce in some areas we are little bit successful. So that I will go now. So before that, this is the one breath analyzer who is readily available in the market, which basically used by this traffic police or traffic surgeon. They try to detect while particularly night while people are driving, they try to detect drunken driver by using this breath analyzer. Basically, what is do? It is also based on gas sensor. They take your excel breath, and this device analyze how much concentration of alcohol is there in your breath. Alcohol will be there always in your excel breath, but depending upon concentration, if it is high, that means you are drunken. So they will stop you driving to drive, and they will penalty you. So this is available in the market, but other kind of which I am going to present you is not available in the market. They are still on development stage, and lot of problems or challenges are there. But people throughout the globe are trying for that. So this is a very schematic of our measurement system, sensor measurement system. In the top figure, you can see that there is a alumina tube. Okay, alumina Al2O3 ceramic tube, hollow tube. We generally use this tube of 3 millimeter length and 1 millimeter dia of this hollow tube. Above that, we coat the semiconducting material, and inside the hollow tube, there we place some nichrome wire for heating purpose, because this semiconductor sensor material generally works good little in not in room temperature, but little elevated temperature. For rising that temperature, we use this heating wire. If you look at the bottom picture, you see that this ash color type, this coating is above the tube. That is your sensing material. That is your sensor material, which we develop in our laboratory, and we use some kind of gold wire for this electroding purpose, and also nickel nichrome wire inside the tube, what I have already mentioned, for heating purpose. So this is the our sensor measurement system, which is indigenously developed. So we use a 6-pin socket, which is there in top left corner, and using this 6-pin, we try to measure. As I told you, this is resistive sensor. Generally, we use 4-pin, because 2-pin for measurement the resistance, and 2-pin for measurement the temperature inside the system. But in case if we required a 4-probe measurement system, then 6-pin is used. But in general, we use 4-pin, because we use in general 2-probe system, because they are semiconducting material. So in the bottom right hand side, you can maybe it is visible, you can see that CGCRI Calcutta is written, because it is developed indigenously developed in our laboratory only. So this is our patented thing, and this one is called complete module, sensor module. We use this sensor module for testing the sensing properties. So now very little bit about our measurement system, how we perform this. This is very simple. Here you see in the right hand side figure, there is a test tube. Inside that, this module is there, and from the top, using some syringe, we introduce the gas in the system, so that sensor directly can take these gases. And in the left hand side top graph, you see that it is simple you say can Kifle meter for measuring the multimeter for measuring the resistance. So when there was no gas, it is in air, so it is the resistance is almost fixed. But when the gas is in, you see resistance is changing. In this case, this is decreasing because of this gas is because of n-type nature. And while again you are stopping the gas flow, gas is out, then it comes to its normal resistance. So that is basically sensing, means in presence of your gas, its resistivity is changing. So by calculating the change of resistance, we can calculate what is the sensitivity of your material. And the bottom left figure shows you that it is called check the reproducibility and repeatability. It shows that all the in same concentration with time, if we switch on the gas and switch off the gas, it will remain same. So they are very much reproducible. So this is very simple system. Everything is indigenously made except this multimeter. So anybody can develop these facilities for measuring this sensitivity. Now, little bit about the mechanism. What is really happening? Why the resistance is changing? It can increase, it can decrease depending upon whether it is N type or P type. But the factor is, so you look at this schematic. This bottom, this light blue color is the alumina tube, which is our substrate, above which SNO2 is there. SNO2 coating, SNO2. Let me mention SNO2, PiO2, ZNO2. These are the very commonly used, most popularly used three sensing gas sensing material. So in the schematic we are saying we are showing SNO2 tin oxide. Basically this is your sensing material. So what happens when you put your material, sensing material, in this case SNO2, above the alumina substrate, and if you keep it in the air, you know that air contains lot of oxygen, around 18 to 20%. So these materials have special property. They will absorb oxygen from the air only, and that oxygen will make some dangling bond with these SNO2 molecules, those who are in the surface. And what this absorbed oxygen will do, they will take electron from the valence band of this, because in the valence band electrons are loosely bound, they move freely. So they will take electron from the valence band of the SNO2 in this case, and this oxygen gas will converted into various kind of oxygen ions, which is mentioned in the below in the right hand side. So it could be O2 minus, it could be O minus, it could be O minus 2, like this. So that depends upon temperature. But anyway, the thing is, your sensing material, which is coated on your substrate, that will take oxygen from the atmosphere, and that oxygen will take electron from the valence band of the sensing material, and it will convert it to ions. And if that oxygen take electrons, that means there will be less number of electrons, so it will be less conductive. That means resistance will increase. Please remember this one. Now you are introducing the gases, analyte gases, which are there, red circle repeating. So when the gases is there, the gas will react with this absorbed oxygen ions, and again the electron will be returned back to the sensing material. Here it is SNO2. So if the electron giving back, then again the resistance conductivity will be increased. So by this way, either resistance, you may say resistance or conductivity, so it will be decreased or increased if you insert some gases. So that is the mechanism of changing of resistance or conductivity, whatever you say, for the resistive sensor. So I will not go more details. If somebody is interested, I can answer it. Now I will give one example where we are working for maybe last 10 years. This is a gamma iron oxide based material, nano form, doped with antimony oxide and platinum. And we have used this composite for diabetes, sensing diabetes. Diabetes means, as I mentioned you earlier in the table, that acetone, excel breath acetone is the marker for the diabetes. So this material can detect this acetone of your excel breath. We have tried for maybe last 10 years, and then only we have achieved a composition, and that composition is now patented. And the beauty of that composition, if you go through the literature, you will find there are so many publications on acetone sensing. But the thing is, let me tell you, for diabetes, in general, for normal or healthy person, concentration of acetone in your excel breath will be 0.2 ppm to 0.9 ppm. Please remember, 0.2 ppm to 0.9 ppm. Or grossly, you can say it is below 1 ppm. So for healthy person, it is below 1 ppm. But if a person had a tendency of higher glucose, then it could go to up to 2 ppm of acetone. But if it is above 2, it is 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 ppm, that definitely means that the person has some high sugar or diabetic tendency. So that is our intention. We have to develop some material which can detect excel grade acetone, that too at very low concentration. And also another important point is it should have, we call it resolution. Resolution means it can distinguish that with 1 ppm acetone, 2 ppm acetone, 4 ppm acetone, and higher acetone. Because if the resistance or sensitivity, whatever may be, if it is almost same for 1 ppm, 2 ppm, 4 ppm, then you cannot distinguish whether that person is healthy or borderline patient or a diabetic patient. So that is most important. So we have shown here in this top left figure that you see that for 1 ppm resistance is different, for 2 ppm resistance is different, and for 4 ppm it is different. And we have taken each cases 3 data just to believe you that they are reproducible. So we have patented that composition, and depending on that composition, we have now fabricated devices. I will show you some devices. So this figure shows this left-hand side deep, you can say, that is the pure health breath of a healthy person, where this device detects the acetone of excel breath of a healthy person, which is very, very low. The deep is very, very low. But whenever we mix this healthy breath with 0.5 ppm acetone, the middle one, you see that the deep is much deeper. And in the right hand side one, it is the basically mixing of that healthy person bread with 1.5 ppm acetone, then the depth is much higher. That means if you mix this healthy bread person with some external acetone with different concentration, our device can judge that one also. We call this simulated bread, so it can detect the acetone of pure healthy person as well as the simulated bread, and also it can distinguish between the different concentration of acetone in simulated bread. So from that we can conclude that our material is very much suitable for device application, and we have tried to develop some device for diabetes monitoring. This one is our first version of device. So figure 2, you see very carefully, figure 2 in the top right, it is that sensor module which I have shown you earlier, given in details. So that module is there in the board, and in the figure 3, it is the total electronic circuit, where we have used some different color LED, red, green, yellow, to indicate that whether person is normal or a healthy person or borderline person, and or the diabetic person. For borderline person, it will for normal person it will be green. For borderline person, it will be yellow, and for diabetic person, red light will glow. So the figure 1 is our complete device. It is breath monitoring for diabetes detection. So inside this box, that circuit is there, and if somebody gives his excel breath in the top cylinder, it's a steel cylinder only, nothing else. So breath will go through this cylinder to the sensor head directly, and that sensor will detect your breath, and it will try to measure the acetone in your breath, and it will show in the display board. So that was our first version of device. In that device, we can only measure the change of sensitivity or resistivity. So we developed after few months or so, we developed another version, that is we are showing 4 devices where we can directly measure the sensitivity range, and we can say whether this person is healthy or not. This is another version, and this is details about that second version. Now we are showing that if you see the picture, the top left hand side, we have used direct gases from the cylinder, 1 ppm gas cylinder, and you see the sensitivity is 56%. And you see the top right hand side, one of our student is giving his excel breath to the device, and it measures 32%. That's why we have given written here it is healthy breath, because below 1 ppm of acetone, it will be healthy. So for 1 ppm, it is 56%, which is shown here in the top left hand side. This it is 32%. So we can safely say that this healthy. And the bottom figure shows acetone concentration 5%, 5 ppm acetone, and sensitivity is 79. So if sensitivity is in using this device, if somebody's Excel breath is analyzed and if we find that sensitivity is higher than 56%, then we can say that that person has some diabetic tendency or higher glucose. So recently we have developed this device. This is version 3, you can say. So this is much more complicated, but this is much more compact, and it is really handled. You see that it is held by hand of our student, and it says that it will give you the acetone concentration of your Excel breath. Not only that, it will glow the corresponding light, yellow, red, or green, and also it will show you indication that you are safe, because in this case it is if the concentration is only 0.127 ppm, that means you are really safe. So this is our latest version, and another version now we are trying to develop where we are directly correlating this concentration of acetone with blood glucose level, because basically you have to check your glucose level. So if the glucose level changes in your blood, then accordingly your acetone concentration in Excel breath will change. So we are now trying to mapping with that, and our this version which are now we are developing in our laboratory, that will, instead of showing the acetone concentration, or we will show acetone concentration as well as we will show the your blood glucose level directly, and also the lower line will be there that whether you are healthy or whether you are borderline patient or whether you have diabetic tendency. So I have came to the end of my presentation. I must say that there are a lot of challenges which are mentioned there. You have to detect a particular single gas among the more than 1,000 gas or VOCs. So that is very, very challenging. That too, their concentration is very, very low. In some cases, it is sub ppm or sub ppb level, and also it has to be very much level, and it should be very much selective. If some cost sensitivity is there, then your result will be area. And one most important thing is it should be moisture or alcohol insensitive, because our Excel breath contain a lot of moisture. So if it is sensitive to moisture, then again your result will be erroneous. So you have to be very much careful while developing your material and device. Because of all these constraints, it is very difficult to develop the material and develop the devices, but still scientists are working throughout the lab and they are trying to develop the device, and once that is developed, then it will be very, very easy to detect some kind this kind of things, and it will be handheld. It can be kept in every household, and everybody can daily monitor his health towards some diseases at least, like diabetes, like kidney condition. For example, we are working on one DST project where we are working this ammonia gases, Excel breath ammonia, detection of Excel breath ammonia gases and their concentration, which is biomarker for kidney or renal related disease. So that is also similarly we are developing, and we will try to develop another handheld device. What we have developed for diabetes, we will try to develop that one, and we will give a prototype to DST in this, at the end of this project. So all these are very much challenging and very much difficult, and also it needs lot of time and effort. A single person cannot do it. It's a team activity. So I should acknowledge all our team members, past and present team members who has contributed towards this. I also acknowledge financial support from DST and CSR for giving me huge fund. I should say huge fund for this kind of R&D activities, because this funding authority also knows that once somebody is successful in this direction, then it will have a huge impact into the society, because nowadays this kind of device is not available in the market, though throughout the world various group is working. So development of device by clearing all the challenges, all the bottlenecks is very, very much challenging, and we are trying to do so. So it is really difficult, but still I must conclude that a pessimist sees the difficulty in every opportunity, but we are we are optimistic. So an optimist sees opportunity in every difficulty, and hope one day we will be successful and device may see the light of the market, and then it will be really very, very easy for everybody to monitor his health day by day in his home only. Thank you very much for your patient listening. Hello? Hello? Yeah. Hello, Professor Kumar?
Yes, yes, I will talk to them. Yes, please.
Professor Kumar? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, I am done.
Hello, Dr. Pal. I was just on another call. Another expert he was calling.
Okay, but anyway, I am done.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then, yeah. So we can take the questions.
Yes.
So yeah, participants. So you can write quickly. I am taking the question which are already here. So
Yeah, you can go one by one. I can.
yeah, I'm
answer.
just saying to participants so they can keep writing. So whatever they have. So
Yeah.
this first question I am taking, which I can see on my screen. This is from Manisha.
Okay.
Manisha Sioran. So her question is, how can we improve the selectivity of the sensors?
Yeah, it's a good question. There is no thumb rule for this one. Just by tailoring your materials, things like the size of the particle, structure, composition, morphology, you have to find out. It needs a lot of work.
Yeah. So I think, Manisha, you got the answer for your question. Thank you, Dr. Pal. And next question I am moving to, that is from Dr. P.V. Rajeshwari.
Okay.
So the first is appreciating your work, a very informative and systematic talk. And the second question is, in environmental monitoring, how to differentiate CO2 and CO sensing and selectivity? Can we find out their ratio in the gas sensor?
Yes, very much possible. Actually, there are different material for CO2 and CO sensing, and they are also available in the market also. One thing I must say to all the audience and you people, that it's not that sensors are nowadays not available in the market. There are, our market is lot of sensors are available. Chinese sensors are available in the market, but the thing is, by using that sensor, you can monitor your environment. That's why in every city nowadays, you find that every traffic signal, there are some gadgets by which they are monitoring your environment, and they are giving you indication. And every day, if you switch on the TV, you will find that environmental related information. And all these are collecting mostly using gas sensor. My point is, for carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide, gas sensors are different sensors, different material, different morphology. With a single material, it is very difficult to measure CO2 and CO. So it will be two different material, it will be two different gas sensor. But you can always measure them, and you can measure their concentration, and you can take their ratio also. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Pal. And then I move to the another question.
Yes.
Which is from Vishal Kamathe. How can we convert ammonia, ethanol, etc. solutions to ppm?
Yeah, actually, see, this is very easy, particularly for this volatile organic compound. You take just in our laboratory, what we do, we use some kind of container, desiccator kind of things. We make them completely vacuum, and then we seal all those desiccators. And just by calculating how much amount of alcohol or ammonia is required to make it saturate, depending upon the volume of the desiccator, we calculate that one. We insert by some kind of syringe, we insert that amount into the desiccator, and we keep that desiccator maybe for 24 hours, so that all the alcohol or ammonia that can vaporize, and your total environment inside the desiccator will be saturated and will be homogeneous, then only with some kind of syringe we can take out different amount. By from that we can calculate what is the concentration. It is very simple. So anybody can, and if you are more interested, you can write to me by sending you some write-up and figures. I can show you what are the how it is like that. Okay.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you, sir. And then I take the another question.
Yeah.
So this Manisha Gaur, I am taking this question from. Is there any possibility to design a sensor to check the hardness of the sand or soil after choking?
Yeah, there are some kind of soil testing sensor, but that is different. It's not kind of this kind of gas sensor. That is different sensor, and we don't work on that one.
Okay, so yeah, there is a lot of variety of sensors. So this is not one. Yeah, you already seen Manisha in several talks. Yeah. So yeah. So then I move to the another question, which is from Dr. Helen Marina Albert. Sir, is there any internship facility in your institute so that our MSc student can join? Or sir, I request you can answer in general. So this opportunity for scientists, faculty members, or student, everyone to characterize a facility or other. You can highlight all.
Yeah. Okay. So there are two issues for student training. Actually, we don't train too much of MSc student, because for MSc student they don't have too much time, only 2 months or like that. So we take very few MSc student for training purpose. But for MTech student, if somebody has some MTech student, there are huge scope. We take lot of MTech student for training purpose, and we gave them this kind of hands-on training for 1 year. Because in MTech it is 1 year is for class level, and another year is this kind of training. So that we take too much. So student can be taken. So you have to contact with our HR section. All the mail and everything of HR is there in CGCRI website. And regarding these infrastructural facilities, yes, on principle, that is also now possible to access by each and every one. Not only for CGCRI, there are for all the CSIR institute, there is a common platform. You can Google it. This is called Analyty CSIR. Please note, everybody, those who are interested to take the facilities of CSIR lab, this is called Analyty CSIR. You just Google it. It's a common platform. It's a app-based platform also. You just go into it. Everything is there. All the institutes are listed there. In India, there are 40 CSIR institutes, and all of them are listed there. Every institute has some facilities, some which are costly instruments. We are now sharing all those instruments to all the student and faculty members of India. So anybody can register with them, and anybody can take benefit of any infrastructural facilities. Not only for CGCRI, for any CSIR lab, you have to just fill up the form, and you have to pay the required amount of charges, and you have to contact with the person, those who are in charge. So that is now very easy, and we serve lot of people. I can tell you, because I am the person who take care of our ISO team. So there we need lot of data. So I have seen that we serve lot of people in last 2 years through this Analytics CSIR program. This is very simple, and anybody can take the help of this. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Pal, for this answer. And then I think, Helen, you got the answer for your question. I move to the next question, which is from Rahat Ullah Khan. And he particularly is interested in challenges about the sensor or improvement. So you can highlight about the your experience about the research on this area. Like, what are the challenges in this area so we can improve further?
Yeah, particularly for breath analysis, really there are a lot of challenges. For developing any sensor for environment monitoring is not that much challenging. In fact, that sensors are available in the market, as I mentioned it. The thing is, for breath analysis, the sensor which is required, it has to be, first of all, it has to be very much selective. Also, because in your Excel breath, there are more than 1,000 gases and gases, what I have mentioned. Also, it has to be very much precise so that it can detect the sub ppm level or ppb level gas. That is the another important factor, because you will not find any sensor in the market which can detect the sub ppm level. In most of the cases, the sensors which are made by Chinese people or German people, which are available in the market, they can go below, they can go up to 5 ppm in the lower range. For example, for this kidney-related disease, I have shown you and informed you that ammonia gas is the biomarker, and for a healthy person, concentration of ammonia in exhale breath is around 400 ppb. Below 400 ppb, please note. And if a person has some kidney-related disease, then it will be 1 ppm or more. So if you are interested to develop that kind of material or that sensor module that has to detect this 400, 300 ppb, so that is challenging, because that kind of sensor is not available in the market. And what we generally do, basically, there are many parameters, as I told you, around 10 parameters. So by changing composition, by doping with something, by changing particle size, by changing morphology, we try to develop material. It's a lot of trial and error kind of things, particularly the diabetes one, which we have already developed. At least we have tried more than 1,000 composition, and for last 10-12 years we are working on that one, and then only we got little success, though there are still some issues, but we have patented that one, and we have fabricated some device. And if somebody visit after this pandemic, if somebody, some student or some faculty member, all are welcome. If just you have to contact with me. If somebody visit our lab, we can show you that how we measure that and how our sensors are working. Okay, so challenges are there. Yes, it is very difficult. That's why people are not generally interested to work on this area, because maybe for last 10 years our group is not able to publish maybe 5 papers also, because it is development related to development of technology. So it's not paper publication. That's why many scientists are not interested. They are interested to increase their H index, citation, and paper publication, number of paper. They are working in this sensor area, but most of them are not interested to develop device because it has lot of challenges. Yes, Professor Kumar?
Yeah, so sir, in between we have a lot of appreciation for you. Wonderful session, a nice session, informative session. I am not going through those all comments, but I am just moving to the other question. We have one more question from Sanjay Gupta. For gas sensor, how to overcome the rapid temperature modulation?
Rapid temperature modulation?
Yeah.
Actually, audience, because I need to, because there is nothing like this, so I need to understand his question. Question is not.
Okay, then. Yeah, Rahutullah Khan again asking the previous question, what are the challenges? And then he's again has the connecting question. Can I share idea with you overcome this problem? So yes, yeah, I think Rahutullah, you can yeah, speak. If you want to say something, you can speak. Yeah, you unmute yourself. If you want to say something.
Very good afternoon to everyone listening to me. So it's a great pleasure to listen to you, and such a very wonderful lecture I have got today. So apart from this, the question I have asked you, it's a very encouraging thing that there is a lot of work to do on this particular area. So I have some particular, some specific procedural ideas to overcome on this problem. So I want to share with you. We can work together in association with our students or some other faculty members here in my institution. or whatever you want, we will definitely go ahead for this particular challenge, because it will be a great help to the people of this or the society, to detect the problem persisting in the kidney problem, basically. So definitely in the first slide there was some email, but there was no
Rahat, do you
contact.
please be a little fast? So yeah, be precise.
So just I want to have some contact informations of the sir, so that we can work together, and then we can have some good things along with us. Thank you very much. If you share the contact information, we will. Basically, my intention is to work on this particular problem.
Okay, okay. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, you can always connect with Dr. Pal. So if you already have contact details and everything. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Dr. Pal. Hello. Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yeah, now you are audible. Yeah. So her basic question, actually, Rahatullah Khan want to connect with you and have some this collaboration kind of thing.
Yeah, my details is given to you, and also in my first slide I have shown my email address. So anybody can write me, and I have to check what are the things and how we can help. Yes, we are very much open.
Yeah, so I personally I want to ask sir one question. And the question is, like, we have the Indian stuff which is very cheaper, like sensors and everything we talk about.
Yes.
But when we contact to any vendor, any supplier, and they say that this is from Germany or this is from France, this is not Indian made. And then the sentence or the talk is to say that Indian, they use like this, they say that something is superior, the ones they use some other word. So and also the standardization, when we go for the standardization, if somebody want to buy to the market, go to the market and buy something, and then there are so many companies, and we go to the Make in India, like these things, and then we are not sure that what is the standard. So means what is the situation is of standardization, because when we buy the product, this is not like we don't buy want to buy Indian, but we do not get confidence of the product. So what is the standardization status in India? Means to get the customers confidence.
You know that now, because of this pandemic and other issues, government has forcing everybody to go for Make in India. So you have to go. But yes, you are very true that this standardization is a question, and we in general we don't believe the Indian product and all those things to go for foreign product. Because in some cases, our industry people are also not interested to go for their quality, to maintain their quality. Even I can tell you, you are also aware that there are so many fake masks and also this sanitizer available in the market, no? So that should not be, because it's a question of your life and death. But in India, in developed country, that is not there. There is no question of fake mask or fake sanitizer, but it is there in India. So first, we have to accept that we will be we will not cheat anybody, and we will be quality, maintain our quality. For example, we are working very good on moisture sensor also. I have one of my junior who is working on various aspects of moisture sensor, because moisture sensor has also a lot of application. So there, what we have done, we basically, after developing your sensor device, you have to optimize with the standard data. For example, we have purchased 2 standard UK-based moisture sensor, which are very stable, and they are very costly. They are more than 2 lakhs for each device. We have purchased them for standardization only, and we are now supplying NTPC these moisture sensors, which are less than 10,000 only. And we have already supplied to BRC around 25 or 30 moisture sensors of same price. So it will be very cheap, because in India the labor are cheap, and also starting from this JRF to faculty members, all are cheaper than developed countries. So cost will be very low. That is true. Only thing is, you have to be honest. You have to compare your device with standard one. That you have to. And we are supplying now. We are supplying this moisture to many companies. BRC we have given, NTPC we have given. We have very big project with NTPC also, and they are installing our moisture sensor. So one has to be honest, otherwise it is not possible. And particularly for sensor, I can inform you there is no industry in India on sensor, and in fact 3-4 years back I conducted one industry institute conference here in CVCRI. There some industry participated, that's true, but what I find everybody is interesting also with our sensor and everything, but they said that see Dr. Pal, we don't have that facilities. We have to create that facility starting from fabrication to everything. So it's a question of lot of investment, and there they generally don't take the risk. As we scientists, we take all the projects, taking the risks also. There they are not interested. That's why particularly for sensor there is no project, there is no company in India. So that is one difficulty. We are developing things, but very few companies coming forward to collaborate with us. But still we are trying, and maybe in future I am contacting with one US-based company. They are very much interested on our things because we have published some good paper also. From there they got the information. But again, the thing is now government is not allowing to do anything in collaboration with foreign country. Anyway, let's see. Let's hope for the best. But one has to be honest. There are things, there are parameters, there are charts by which you can standardize your device. But it's little bit question of honesty is there. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, participant, I don't see any more questions. So let's thank Dr. Pal for this very wonderful session. I can only also see the comments, whatever you have written, that indicates that you enjoyed the session, you learned a lot. So yeah, that's good. And that's all the purpose of the program, and everyone and experts. So everyone feel happy if you are liking the session, learning something. So Dr. Pal, we are really thankful for you to accepting this session and taking this talk. So giving this talk for this particular program, accepting our request. So thank you very much. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, actually, Professor Kumar, actually, my sole intention was there is that we are trying to develop this kind of device. The concept is also very interesting, and almost very few are working in India on this area. So my thing is very clear. It's not that I have to deliver this webinar in different platform or like that, but my thing is very clear that those who are interested in this sensor area, they should know that this kind of concept is there and people are working in this area. And at the end of the day, I will be happy, more than satisfied if my message is clear to my audience and also other participants and also you people. So that is my sole intention. Okay.
I think yeah, participant will get benefit, and some of them might contact you soon. And yeah, again I highlight to the participant, Dr. Pal is very humble person, and then he's great scientist. There's another thing that so you can easily approach him. So you can please write to this one if you feel any problem in this one. And standardization, as we discussed together, that is really a problem, an issue that should be resolved. Otherwise, this Make in India will not be success. I think this is my personal belief. So standardization should be proceed this faster, so everyone can rely on the products. Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you for the wonderful presentation, sir. Everyone, I think they get benefited. Yeah, I also learned a lot in this lecture. Thank you, sir.